Hello, I'm the Angry Spork. Most of the time, the Brave and the Bold title features heroes not known to regularly work together, but this time we have a villain in the mix, and arguably one of the worst in the DCU. I'm taking issue with The Brave and the Bold, Volume 3, number 31, featuring the Atom and the Joker. So let's see if this comic makes us want to turn the page, or turn our heads. The cover is a close-up of Mr. J with the micro-sized hero in his eyeball, as if he's trapped. Remember, kids, never try swimming in someone else's bottle of Visine. We're back to the J. Michael Straczynski run, the new art team of Chad Hardin, Justiniano, Wayne Fleischer, Walden Wong, and Trish Mulvihill. We open to an office in Arkham Asylum, where 3 doctors are awaiting their guest, who calls up to confirm his arrival. There's a bit of a snafu with one doc's cell phone, so the landline is called, since he needs electronic impulses to transport in on the title splash page. The one, the only, the incomparable, the Atom. Incomparable? What about Ant-Man? Shut up, Steve. He hates being reminded of that guy. The neurologist in the group informs the hero of a patient suffering from a rare condition, which causes non-stop firing of synapses in the brain, like a car running at full throttle with no way of turning it off. It's the same thing that killed Bigfoot at one fateful monster truck show. Sad day, that. This would lead to seizures, coma, and, if untreated, a painful death. And the patient in question, of course, is the Joker. Adam, who's Ray Palmer here, doesn't see the problem.
The patient and your condition can suffer from a major case of deadness.
The four of them argue, the physicians citing their moral obligation to give the best possible care to those in need, regardless of what they think of them, and Ray reminding them, it's the Joker. Any minute he could turn full Jared Leto, and nobody wants that. The docs have developed an experimental compound to treat this condition, and Adam is the only one who can inject it at a microscopic level, in a very small amount, directly into the Joker's synaptic array, which may reset his neural system, like rebooting a computer. Can it also delete his saved passwords and mess around with his cookies? It's the only way to treat him, since there's no means of accessing the malfunction without damaging the rest of the brain. Ray refuses a couple more times, until the neurologist says there's a possibility the compound might not even work, or even kill the clown, even if everything goes smoothly, at which point the little guy is totally on board. His bragging rights over Batman are going to be epic. It's operating time, and after a humorous exchange about how Adam can breathe when he's smaller than oxygen molecules, something that just works, so best not to think about it, he's ready to deliver the compound. But there's something he should be aware of. There's a chance the electric fields within the synaptic gaps of Joker's brain, which control everything, like memory, behavior, and so on, could spill over into Adam's own neural system. Right that they're telling him this now, huh, folks? To add to the frustration, his best access to the thinnest tissue protecting the brain is through the clown's schnoz. So look out, Joker, here he goes, past the lip and up the nose. Adam gets into the bloodstream, heading for the brain, but is still too big, and if he stayed this size for too long here, he could cause a Joker-ending blood clot. In fact, I think I need to pause for a minute and just think about how terrible that would be.
Oh, the waiting game sucks. Let's play Hungry Hungry Hippos.
He hangs around for a panel, then moves on. He determined that it wouldn't be stealing 40 cakes terrible, but still kinda terrible. He gets smaller to fit into the synaptic gaps, and despite whose brain he's in, is still impressed by the pulses as they deliver and maintain information in a non-stop lightning storm. He heads for the location to drop off the medicine, do his job, and hope for the best, which may differ from what the Joker would consider the best, and it's this musing that perhaps distracts him, causing Adam to veer into one of the gaps, and is hit with a bioelectrical surge. Despite looking like it's piercing his stomach, he's not physically injured, but is rather dazed, and experiences a memory. Non-transformed kid Joker on a school playground, holding up his hand to blot out the sun, as another student says, though to me it just seems like he's covering his face, but whatever. The girl calls him weird, and he responds, the world is weird, though her rebuttal is that even if that was true, that would make him the only non-weird person on Earth, which would still make him weird. I think these kids just landed on a concept for a college philosophy dissertation, or a Twilight Zone episode. Some bullies approach, one threatening Kid J to get off his spot, or he'll write his name in Jay's blood. Wouldn't do you any good, though. Why not? You'd still be a jerk. A witty retort that gets him punched. Kid minding his own business, bully starting the violence, not a teacher in sight. Yep, Joker definitely went to public school. Instead of crying to his mom or something, our future clown prince of crime gives a Grinch-like smile, tackles his assailant, then, to the horror of the other kids, uses his lunchbox to repeatedly beat the aggressor, with the sound effects cluing us in on just how severe it gets. And it's later mentioned the kid required over a dozen stitches to close the wound. Yeesh. His mother is later called in, talking with a principal. This is the third school they've been to in 2 years, but the boy never seems interested in anything or anyone, living in his own head until he lashes out. A lot of serious counseling is recommended because it seems he's got 2 people living in his noggin, as the panels show the kid's reflection, changing to an oddly wrinkly-looking Joker, then the Atom. I wonder what the residual pay is for a cameo in someone else's childhood memory. Should probably check with the Screen Actors Guild. One night, sometime later, the disturbed lad has packed his things to leave while his parents are arguing, his dad questioning paternity, since no son of his would ever attack others or, as implied, kill stray animals in horrific ways. They were so busy, he slipped out, secured the doors shut from the outside, lit a match, then took off smiling as the house and those inside went up in a blaze.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Adam snaps out of it, but barely has time to catch his breath before being hit with another memory blast. This time of several years later, when the Joker was maybe late teens, young adult, holding up a liquor store and shooting the cashier who'd been begging for his life before he and his fellow crooks leave. He's later called out for this by one of the others, that they all agreed they just robbed the place, not escalate beyond that, since now they're facing murder charges. He asks Hoodlum Joker why he did it. He didn't answer my question. What question?
You ever dance with the devil by the pale moonlight?
Hey, is that the Wayne family over there? No, he shot the guy 'cause he just likes killing, as he demonstrates by killing his associate. Another splash page has even more recollections of mayhem and violence, most of which are after Joker's chemical makeover, causing Ray to develop an awful rictus grin.
Crazy eyes?
This leads to another memory of Mr. J, standing on one end of a seesaw board with a hostage tied and gagged on the other, over the side of a building. He playfully asks if the citizen really wants to know why he does what he does. I mean, yes, I enjoy what I do. It doesn't make sense to put that much effort into doing something if you don't enjoy it, now does it? Truly the words of someone who has never worked retail. While normal people fit in with the rest of the world, teach their kids to do the same and not stick out or be weird, Joker is an artist and refuses to be so sensible. Rather than conform to the world, he'll reshape it into a mad killer just as it made him.
You want to know how I got these scars?
After a panel heavily inspired by The Dark Knight, after which the Batpod was put in storage until Stephanie Brown starts using it as Batgirl, Mr. J will know his success has arrived when the world kills him with the same violence it sees in him, and thus he will have become the world. Wow, he's really got it out for the EPA, doesn't he, folks? He says that murder is easy. Just take all your beliefs and everything you care about, put them at the end of a long plank, then walk away, letting natural forces take over, which he demonstrates by stepping off the board and letting his hostage plummet. Whether he was saved by one of Gotham's many vigilantes, well, we can dream, right? Ray fights his way back to sanity, spotting the compound container, but figuring he should let the clown's brain fry itself, and only claim he did everything he could. But he doesn't do that. He doesn't want to be like the Joker. He'll hate this moment for as long as he lives, but it'll be better than hating himself. Just as the normal-sized doctors are wondering if the hero actually went through with it, the Joker's neural activity starts stabilizing, slowing down, and returning to normal. Well, Mr. J's normal anyway. You see? His EEG looks like a bunch of hands giving the middle finger. I told you! Adam pops out onto a surgical tray, having done what he set out to do, but not feeling like much of a hero, even if it was the right thing. He asks one of the doctors about the overlap between neural patterns, if there'd be any long-term side effects, or if it'll go away now that he's no longer in the Joker's brain. Even though this is not the same doctor that warned him about this eventuality, maybe the neurology specialist should answer, but whatever. He suggests any long-term effects shouldn't be a problem, but it is admittedly new territory for them, and can't be totally certain.
Are you a real doctor or a doctor like Dr. Pepper's a doctor?
The three of them leave to inform their bosses, leaving Ray alone with the patient. He may have saved a murderer who will eventually escape, like he does, but the hero takes some comfort that the clown is trapped in his own mind, an inescapable prison worse than the physical one he's in. When the jester calls him weird, Adam begins to say the world is weird, much like a certain child did, but stops himself, and the comic ends on the Joker's laugh ringing out of Arkham Asylum.
But if you can't laugh at other people, who can you laugh at?
That was Brave and the Bold, number 31, an interesting matchup with some interesting perspectives. For some, the elephant in the room will probably be memories that all but confirm Joker's youth before his transformation. Not only does it seem to cement some things certain fans might have preferred stay unknown, for the sake of the character's mystique, it also deviates from the Killing Joke, which showed a pre-Joker who was more ordinary, depressed, downtrodden. This one here seems more like Jack Napier's profile that was briefly mentioned in Tim Burton's first Batman film, that he was always a little unhinged but intelligent and considered himself an artist. Though if one is worried about such conflicting canons, just remember that the Alan Moore story established the clown often remembering things differently and preferring the multiple choice option for his past. When it talks about some of the science of neurology, it does feel like JMS did some research to get things fairly accurate, while still remaining vague in other respects, not trying to make real-life explanations for the impossible stuff in comics. Maybe there are some holes, but it feels like a good balance of the factual and the fanciful, which, under the right conditions, can make for a more immersive story. Overall, it's more of a morality lesson for a heroic character. I don't know Ray Palmer's stance on killing the enemy, maybe if it's between him and a loved one, or a uniquely extreme circumstance, or if he largely leans towards the typical under no circumstances like most supers. Yet here he makes an exception that a lot of people in real life have made for years. It's the Joker. Wait, we're talking about the Joker? He's either incurably insane or is sane enough to know what he's doing, while also sly enough to work the system to avoid the death penalty. Either way, if he actually existed with his crimes, most people would be okay with just terminating him, as well as just letting him bite it from natural causes, even if it could potentially be treated. Yet the story is telling us that's what he wants, prove that the world made him what he is, and he's just paying it forward. It's the easiest thing. Simply walk away from your ethics, your loved ones, stop caring about others, and let them fall. Or fry. It was Adam's first instinct when he heard the Joker was the patient he was called to help. He'd done so many terrible things, all they had to do to prevent his next rampage was nothing. It's what he deserves, after all, right? No more torment, no more comedy-themed threats. But from the clown's perspective, humanity has done much the same as him. Anyone is capable of being the next Joker. They just pretend they're better than they are, and his life is all about making him see that. It's tempting, isn't it? Regardless of your beliefs or your ethics or your sociological leanings, there are some objectively terrible people out there who have the whole not caring thing down pat. And then we have people we just think are that bad. It's easy to consider and instinctive to want that they should just go away. But heroes generally pick the less easy path, like Ray did here.
I do. I always have, ever since I was little. It's one of the reasons that I'm a winner.
In its own way, I think the story seeks to validate the moralistic divide between heroes and villains, that the no-kill rule that some might find childish is necessary. In the same way Superman is an ideal for good, Joker sees himself as an ideal for how he thinks the world really is. Admittedly, I don't think it fully backs up Mr. J's claim that the world made him insane or murderous. Yeah, arguing parents, bullies, those can have a negative effect on someone, but as we saw and was mentioned, he seemed to enjoy going too far and was already disturbed, which didn't seem to be everyone else's fault. But hey, he be bonkers, so maybe we shouldn't take him at his word and his memories aren't exactly spot on, right? If we're to have a better planet for ourselves and future generations to prove Joker and that kind of mentality wrong, we have to be better than those base impulses and desires, strive to find better paths, even if it might feel cathartic at first, to forgive, and, as Ephesians states, put away bitterness, wrath, anger, malice, and slander. I mean, that last part probably wasn't what JMS intended, since I think he's an atheist, but it's what popped up on my daily Bible app while writing this, and it felt apropos. The art is really good, featuring cool visual representations of the workings of the mind. No actual problems I could find, though personally I think giving Joker mutton chops was kind of a misfire here. The book has a thoughtful message about how easy it is to be a terrible person, though I imagine some would still disagree with saving his life, even if doing so would oppose his ideology. I'm the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.